is on the verge of taking a new step in expanding medical assistance in dying, MAID. Starting October 30th, the province will allow advance requests for MAID, enabling individuals to apply before losing their decision-making capacity. This is a major shift, especially as the number of people opting for this option to end their lives continues to rise. In 21-22, more than 3,600 of Quebecers used MAID. In 22-23, the number increased to over 5,600 of people, representing 7.3% of death during that year. In 22, Quebec had the highest proportion of people choosing medical assistance in dying. Imagine the numbers today. By the way, medical assistance in dying is an euphemism that obscures the fact that it is in reality government-assisted suicide. With this new legislation, these numbers are expected to continue growing. Despite Ottawa's refusal to amend the criminal code to protect doctors performing advance MAID, Quebec is moving forward. Justice Minister Simon Jolin Barrette has taken steps to shield doctors from potential legal actions. But this raises questions. Why is there such a high demand for MAID in Quebec? And what is happening in the province that makes such a measure not only necessary, but also so widely accepted by the populations? It's impossible to discuss MAID without addressing the critical state of Quebec healthcare system. The pandemic exposed serious shortcomings, particularly in long-term care facilities as CHSLD, where hundreds of elderly people died in degrading and inhuman conditions. This episode left an indelible mark on Quebecers, fostering a deep fear of aging and end-of-life care. It is probably why we saw a staggering increase of 51% in MAID requests over the year 2021-22. Many of us have seen loved ones suffer in a system that seems incapable of providing adequate care. This fear drives more people to consider MAID not as a choice, but as an escape from a nightmare. Access to health care is nightmarish, with over 27% of the population lacking a family doctor, a situation that will worsen with the aging population and retiring physicians. Thanks God, the federal government has postponed access to MAID for people with mental illnesses as the only issue until March 2027. But what will happen when that deadline arrives? And we are facing an explosion in mental health issue and psychological distress with a severe lack of access to care. Waiting lists for treatment or surgeries are growing and people refuse to live in pain. By normalizing the idea of ending one's life as a solution, especially in the context of untreated mental illnesses, we risk seeing a dramatic increase in assisted suicide in the future. And who will monitor the potential abuse of the medical assistant in dying? The issue runs deeper than just an individual choice. It is a response to a failing healthcare system where individuals are reduced to numbers and humanity seems to be lost. Dehumanization is widespread, and for some, MAID becomes a more acceptable option than enduring the failing of a collapsing system. But is it the direction we should take? Instead of tolerating and expanding MAID, shouldn't we question the state of our healthcare system and rethink our priorities? It is crucial to turn towards solutions that value life. We must improve healthcare especially for vulnerable, so that they can live in dignity until their last breath. This means offering better palliative care, more support for families, and ensuring that no one chooses death because living has become unbearable. We must also recognize that modern society places immense pressure on families, often leading them to unintentionally neglect their dying loved one. As the cost of living continues to rise, many people simply lack the time or financial resources to properly care for their elderly or ailing relative. This economic strain can make medical assistance in dying appear as the more acceptable or convenient solution to an otherwise heartbreaking situation. Who wants to face the end of their life knowing they have become a burden for their loved ones? None. We are being led to believe that this is what we, as a population, want and choose, when in reality it reflects the breakdown of a healthy, supportive family structure compounded by a failing system. To do something, go over helpnothomicide.com if you agree that people should not choose between death or miserable care in our failing healthcare system across Canada. We want to send a message to all government to stop promoting MAID and start taking care of our vulnerable people. Thanks to go over helpnothomicide.com.